98.3 FM.
As a people with one song, with one voice, we're a nation undivided and poised. We will take a stand and build our land in faith to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore.
A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the special edition of our fourth anniversary on Mila 98 points of publicity. In the last 2 weeks, we've been telling you that we're trying to get into the conversation. I think it's one of the rarest privilege that our station got into commercial operation on the exact day that Nigeria celebrates our independence anniversary. So yesterday, Nigeria closed 6 of last week Saturday with a meaning. A part of our team are actually out there running some corporate on the road. It's part of our week-long program to celebrate our fourth year, and most importantly, to thank you for your years of consistency. If you don't get to listen to us, if you don't send us those messages, those feedbacks, those followbacks, then we'll have no business being in business. So it's an amazing time. It's 4 years, and then we thank you. A big shout out to everyone that had made this journey possible. It's a pleasure to always get to do this. Well, today's Thursday, so usually I would have Mr. Miwa join me by 4. Well, we'll still have that conversation by 4. And it's not just going to be Mr. Miwa alone. 4 o'clock, 4 to 5:30. Omoyele, the presidential candidate of African action in terms of where Milan FM stands. The theme of the session this afternoon, and of course, we're focusing on insecurity and social justice, bridging the gap and fixing the future. It's a big deal, especially on the back of what is killings of the vigilantes in Oᴘᴜᴜ in Kwara State, and even a traditional ruler in the state as well. And a lot of question has been Nigerian Constitution very well spelled out. The principal responsibility of every government at every level is to protect whether they share the same political affiliation with you or not, as long as they identify with the sovereign state that you're governing, you're presiding over. The finest of infrastructures, you can build the best of education today. And then we decided to spread our tentacle to get the very best in the security experts, and then we decided to step into the academia as well. Azuri Babatunde Adisa along the show is going to be in the studio with us, but live with us to drive this conversation is Barrister Fred Nzako. He's a lawyer, TV, and it was difficult for the anchor of that show to stick on time at the questions, because I was telling myself that the studio live with us today, if I offered if you could join us virtually, he said no, I know where your station is, I will join you. Thank you so much, Barrister Fred Nzako, for being my guest in the studio.
Meanwhile, congratulations and happy New Year.
Yeah.
No. Happy Independence Day.
Anniversary, everything all together.
Knew what I wanted to say.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. And of course, and break everything down to details. Probably make you ask yourself that, is securing the country that different for your people? Is a security expert, is an analyst, and of course, Mr. Alex Okonkwo is also live with us in the studio. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in the in our special program today.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much and happy.
Talking about the song that we're using this afternoon, Timi Dakolo and the new national anthem. And when we talk about songs that inspires you, songs that make you sit back and ask yourself that this country would actually get good, these are one of those songs. Thank you. Let's get straight up into the conversation. Let me start from you. Mr. Me in the Situation Room, the former Inspector General of Police. And while I was preparing for that session with him, I found out that all pupils that were selected across the Federation, and out of those 4, and raised the Nigerian flag for our independence.
Fantastic.
So when I found out that, I asked him, what does that moment, what does it mean to you? That system where to go into serving this country to the best of his ability. Fantastic. And I'm not sure if there could be more achievement than being the Inspector General of Police. It's just like being an SAN, game changer for Nigeria, despite the challenges that we have faced. The civil war. We've had to deal with insurgency for the past 16 years that are questioned interruption, even though they call it intervention. Series of same. But we stuck together as a country. Mr. Alex Okonkwo, what have been that joining factor that has still kept us together?
It symbolizes what Nigeria means to many of us. This is a country that is united by culture, that is united by food, that is united by weather. Nigeria has one of the best man-made because of poor leadership right from the start. Because even though the forefathers did their best, it's going to dominate which side. So a lot of mistakes were made. I think, personally, the potentials of this country, if you fly anywhere in the world, you will meet Nigerians. And most of them, I don't say all of them, most of them are doing very well. And most of them, relating to that song you mentioned, Nigerian. You take a look at football. International football, you watch the Champions League, the EPL and all that. Immediately you hear a name that sounds Nigerian. You don't even mind where he comes from. That is the day you feel more Nigerian. You say, oh, Iberiche, oh, and try to escalate them instead of doing exactly that thing we do on TV. So there's a message that we should be taking out there. You guys, if we unite, let us bring the specificities that everybody has. The trading that the people, Westerners that are very bright and, very entrepreneurship, they have entrepreneurship in terms of working in corporate and working in banking and all that. In theater, in music, in arts, if we unite these things, we will be a huge country. And look, I will tell you they are looking at who they should send back as immigrants. You see what the UK is doing? After 10 years of Brexit, they are trying to find out who is causing the problem. So let Nigeria not fall in that trap because of economic hardship. We're trying to find out. It's asked, where are you from, please, before we start carrying the placards. And nobody do is find the things that unite us, just like that song said, and work more on them. But we'll get to that. So I will not look back to the 1960s. I would rather look at what he is.
A young man. I've, just been around for a few years, but I want to assume that you've lived, this transition. They say, oh, they are Gen Zs, they are this and that. So what do you want to live now or where you're coming from, Barrister Frederick Zako?
When you talk about generations, one thing is clear about Nigeria, that a lot of experiences have taken. A lot of problems still exist. But one thing that is very clear from my analysis of Nigerian state is that the country seems to be decaying by the decade. What do I mean? The 60s tended to be better than the 70s. Let's take the benchmark from the day of independence. Yesterday we marked 65 years of independence. So let's look at that 65 issues about economy and the welfare of the people, enjoyment of life and the rest. And the 70s tended to be better than the 80s. And the 80s were better than the 90s. 90s were better than the year 2000 and the rest. We shifted the vision from Vision 2000 to Vision 2010. From 2010, they got worse. We now further shifted the vision to 2020. And when it was very obvious that we were no longer going to make any meaning out of such visioning, we left it at 2020 with some basic structural issues. Structural issues in the sense that trade that became an issue, the figure gave us officially at about 65 million. By the last census, but the projection was that Nigeria was more than 100 million, meaning that we never got it right. Population census was to take place every 10 years. We missed that of
almost 19 years.
We missed that of 2016. We missed that of 20. I mean, we are supposed to have another one
next year.
But I do not think that the optics are in that regard. That the government is not taking in that direction and on estimation. Estimation not done by Nigerians, estimation done by World Bank and other international agencies. And how do they do that estimation? They take a benchmark and then they look at our population growth. And then do of that population growth. Has there been economic growth that will match the why every decade seemed worse than the previous one? The succeeding decade seems more challenging than the previous one. That wanted to bring in a public policy of birth control that never worked. One couple, 4 children, but it never worked because it was truncated by those who wanted to have as many wives and the uncountable number of children as possible. And that's how a member of a legislature at federal level can come out and
brought all his family
and come out and vote, and he has
that be realistic.
May I don't know be realistic, or it may even be more. Now, if we cannot get our population census right, how do we now plan for the population? That is a major problem. Foreign direct investment is not coming. Those who are here are leaving on account of the social problems that be them solved. It tells you that's why every time they begin to tell you the good old days.
Exactly.
What is the good old days? Today there's a debate.
Because I'm sure the kids will disagree right now.
The kids will disagree because when we talk about the good old days, you can't tell me that we are better than our forefathers. When people who that they used to eat half chicken or quarter chicken in their refectory, that at the point or the very moment you are graduating, when you are even when service, that when you were serving, you will be able to buy a car. You will have about 3 job opportunities only for you to choose one. So when we tell such stories, the young ones these days will feel
they can't relate.
They feel like we're telling fairy tales, fairy tales. Because when they sit down today, you cannot swing around and know 1 or 2 people that God's got a job. You cannot. Only about 10 of them will be gainfully employed. The rest meant or that debate, even for the scientific lecture that it used to be, that we are happier than our forefathers because the good old days have refused to come at independence. And what happened to Nigeria in the 70s, in the 80s, that we have come to where we are today? We used to have a development plan that will sit down and project the country in the next, if it is a middle term development plan, you're talking about 10 to 15 years. If it is long-term development plan, you're talking about 20 to 25 years. It used to happen in this country. We used to have policies and programs that are geared towards industrialization of the country. And we call it import substitution in 1977 to borrow money. To borrow money. And the then head of state laughed at them and said, you guys cannot do anything with the money you are asking for because you have a desert. You just want to go and waste our money. The guys went back. When we begin to talk about the Asian tigers coming here to take some seedlings and rest of them, this has happened. They are not fairy tales. You now ask yourself, what really happened to Nigeria? The answer is the structure of the country. Pure and simple.
Straight up, and what a way to break the ice on the show today. Baby steps, same that I wish we could consolidate more on, but the most important thing is that we're still together. And we can still associate as a sovereign state and despite our challenges. And one of those major challenges, Mr. Alex Okonkwo, had been insecurity. And then it started like a child's play. It started with some, coloration of politics. Oh, they brought this one to kick out this government. They brought this one. So it looks like a case of, I stayed in Jos, 2 years in Kano, a few months in Zamfara, Nasarawa State for my service and a few other stuff. And I'll tell you, that is why we're bringing conversation to the front burner. Mr. Alex Okonkwo, you've at different times had engagement with the people. We're looking insecure because if there's no insecurity, if everyone is secured, the issue of social justice will probably come on a different perspective. It's not going to be about, healing and all of that. So let's start with insecurity. We've done everything humanly possible, kinetic and non-kinetic, to understand where ADR comes in conflict resolution. But it has to be a conflict that has human face. Militancy came up. It was about resource control. And then when the former administration of Umar Musa came in, there was amnesty. And it kind of brought some level of sanity into that region.
The first thing, I like the analogies that you made. The very first thing is that we don't understand insecurity in Nigeria.
Period.
We have to be clear what it means. insecurity is also food insecurity. It's also land insecurity. It's also economic insecurity. It's also religious insecurity. We have the period of religious fanaticism that you've never seen before in your existence. The Christians are fanatic, the Muslims are fanatic. Believe me, it is very strong to be a fanatic. That's number one. We are also suffering from land you eat. You eat what the cattle eat. If you eat in here in the south that things are hard, things are 2 times harder in the north. Do you know how much they pay for petrol in the north? The petrol is refined here and taken over there. If you just add the transport, you realize how much it costs. Second thing, you see, when we say insecurity, Nigerians move straight their idea and their visuals into insecurities. And that's what we've been doing. Not too long ago, we had a former military general who was the former president. He's late now, may he so rest in peace. But he came with a very militarized solution to it. So he furnished the military. But the solution is not purely military. Because if people are not doing well economically, they will fall back to those things that make them feel better. Have you not noticed that hackers have come back on your phone?
Sure.
Have you noticed? Sure. Have you not heard of the resurgence of kidnapping again? This close hands to survive. These are all signs of insecurity not getting better. It doesn't have to be the soldier fighting Boko Haram. That battle, I can tell you, we are winning. The conventional insecurity, I call it conventional, we are winning, is the one that comes from economic hardship. Because it is pushing people into land grabbing, pushing people into working with illegal miners, pushing people sit down properly and bring out the points that lead to the insecurity we are suffering right now. I'm not talking of yesterday, right now. We will now find solutions adapted to them. And they are both military and social, which is what comes to your social justice you're talking about, whether it's true or not.
Sure.
But if you have 6 children and you are the father, and one of your sons is telling you he feels marginalized, whether he's right or wrong, ask him why. At least you have the right to ask him why. You get what I'm saying? We're not saying, oh, you go back to your state, do that. Let us first find out why people have grievances. Then we can find it on. And all of a sudden, our oil production today is almost 2 million. But President Buhari came in with the military, it did not work. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Let us find out the origins of each problem. We have different kinds of insecurity in Nigeria. Let us find out the origin of each problem. We will find the solution. The animal, because we still need to eat cattle. Let us not get it wrong. Grazing must continue. Unless you want to pay your piece of meat 8,000 naira a piece. Grazing must continue. So people should forget that fallacy of stopping grazing. What should be done is organized grazing. Before we enter mechanized, which is what is being done in Europe, where it is the food that the cattle eats that comes to the cattle, not the cattle that goes to the food. What we do in Africa, in parts of the Sahel, is the cattle goes to the food. So you are not going to change that overnight. It's been going on for 2,000 years, my brother. People should forget to live in fallacy. It will be on for a while. It will be on until after this president. But what we can start doing is in portions of the north where we feel like happiness is not permanent. You go from situations where you are happy to situations where you are sad. What we should be doing, but if it is to solve the insecurity problem, even the US, you still see killings in the US, even though there are guns everywhere. Guns have not solved the problem, right? So it is not a permanent, there's no permanent solution. What we should do area, and that's economic and social, we are coming to that, and then you take care of the victims. It's a 3-phase solution. The victims of insecurity are Nigerians. Let us take care of them too. I'll stop at
a lot of Nigerians are unfortunately embracing. In 2014, when I was mobilized to go for my NYSC in John, redeploy immediately, I get to camp.
Wow.
Because that was the height of insurgency. Build up to the 2015 election.
Yes,
there were bombings everywhere. There were suicide bombers week. And camp opens on Thursday and the airline goes on Tuesday. So we had to organize ourselves. And then the boss drove us straight to camp. And I stayed back the very first time. Not because I could afford the luxury of flying, but because I needed to weigh in between my life and the cost of flying. And that was the option. A lot of Nigerians they've been denied the opportunity of really understanding how beautiful this country is, because you don't want security issue, which is the people affected by insecurity. Maybe if we rearrange it, they're actually supposed to be the one at the Cᴏɪᴜnᴛᴇʀ IDP camps in Nigeria have Nigerians in them. I will say this. I camps in Benue, I visited IDP camps in Plateau. It is a deplorable situation to live in as human being. If you say you are offering peace deal to people that have taken up arms against the state, if you are going through de-radicalization, reintegration, You're giving them life. People that were caught as prisoners of war, not exactly surrendered. Then you introduce them into the society, some languishing in IDP camps. How do we drive this narrative, Barrister Cᴏɪᴜnᴛᴇʀ?
Thank you. You raised a very important scenario, and Alex had also touched on that when he mentioned 3 sets of people that are involved in issues about it. Victims of insecurity that are left to languish in IDP camps, internally displaced persons, displaced not because of their commission or omission, the state to protect them. Is the security of lives and property of the people.
Right.
And that is the whole essence of governance. And if you put that in pictorial perspective, individuals in any country carry guns.
You can't own one.
It becomes a crime if you're seen with any gun. A soldier or a policeman or any such law-stipulated circumstances, and they will be applauded even when they kill others. For example, a soldier killing, but another citizen killing another citizen, that citizen will be punished for murder. And that tells you the difference between the authority of the soldier who represents the state and the authority of the individual who has surrendered his sovereignty to the state. What is the duty of the state? When the individuals have surrendered their collective sovereignties, the state now has the responsibility in IDP camps. A lot of them have received the short end of the knife handed over to them by the state. And it is extremely worrisome that the state will be taking, is a very terrible narrative, a very terrible development, which should worry every policymaker in the world. Repented. How are they repented? Been solved? If it is philosophical, have they ditched that philosophy? If it is whatever, like my friend said, if it is economic, has their economic status changed? If it is anything that has driven them to terrorism, these are statements that looks like dancing on the suffering masses who are in the IDP camps. And it is high time that the state took very decisive actions in favor of the victims of terror and victims of insecurity. Otherwise, it now looks as if people have refused to surrender their own sovereignty while others have. Otherwise, why would a marauding cattle rearer be seen with an AK-47 and nothing happens? And an Ajitmo branch of a tree protesting and asking for referendum, and you call him a terrorist and you shoot him down. There is no state, there's no nation that is built on such injustice that can make progress. So when we talk about issues about social justice and insecurity in Nigeria, one of the major problems of insecurity is lack of social. Are treated as if they don't belong to the environment. That social injustice will continue to deepen the situation of insecurity. So if we want to have a secure environment, the 2 laws, one for Mr. A and another for taking place in this country. We have criminal code in the south, we have penal code in the north. In the same country that operates under the same constitution. His structure is not only the economic structure, the political structure, the social structure, and then every other thing that has to do with the fabric of the country needs to be touched so that we'll be able to push this country to the paradigm of growth are still there. Endemic and eating up not only the unity of the people, eating up that we have, and eating up even the natural resources through theft that takes place all over the place. Again, issue of security will now come into play. Economic insecurity. Otherwise, there is a tendency that anywhere you have solid minerals in the north, expensive solid minerals, there is insecurity in that place. So that means, and the prevalence of solid minerals in Nigeria. We saw that in Zamfara. We started with Sambisa Forest. it snowballed down to Katsina, Kaduna. We saw it in Zamfara. We saw it in Niger. The first time insecurity will come, and what will now follow it will be illegal. Meanwhile, the state of Zamfara, that is richest under the soil, is the poorest on the surface of the soil.
That's a contradiction, and it's something. So, and when we got into the state, I told my friend that, is this part of Zamfara, or this is the capital of Zamfara? And he said, this is Zamfara itself. That anything outside of this place is just outskirts, and nothing happens on the outskirts. And I said, if the inskirts, if there's anything like that is this way, then I don't want to experience the outskirts. And that is economic insecurity. Imagine someone that rears cow, and in a whole year he does not have 50,000 of his own that he can say, this is my own money. Then somehow he got recruited, he became like his own 500,000, like is his own money. Someone that thought a whole year and does not have 50,000, and then because he picked one or two persons, and then they gave him 50,000 in a whole year, and leave the one that gave him 500,000 in just maybe 10, 20, 15, 30 minutes. It looks like a clear contradiction that will not take us anywhere. But let's come back to this issue of economic insecurity. It looks like that is what joins everything right now.
Exactly.
Mr. Alex Okonkwo, has the government done enough in tackling economic insecurity? Before you respond to that, I have a soundbite from next conversation that, have we weighed both sides of the deal? The Vice President, VP Shettima, talked about both kinetic and non-kinetic means. Before you apply both, you have to check if one that has been used had worked, and there's a need for the other one. But let's listen to Malam Nasir El-Rufai.
What I will not do, okay, is to pay bandits, give them monthly allowance, or send food to them in the name of non-kinetic. It's nonsense. We are empowering bandits. It's not the government of Kaduna State. It's a national policy driven by the Office of National Security Advisor, and Kaduna is part of it. Many states are objecting to that, but that is the policy now. Kiss the bandits. That's the new policy. My position has always been, the only repentant bandit is a dead one. Let's kill them all. Be rehabilitated, can be rehabilitated.
As a governor in Kaduna State, Southern Kaduna for 6 years was a constant war zone. Killings, or were to report killings, and that's a fact. The man is coming out to say that the non-kinetic means cannot solve. Bandits came out 2 weeks ago when they were negotiating peace deal to say, stop killing us. Stop killing us. Stop, break the peace deal and go back into killing. Which of these means had failed us as a people, Mr. Alex Okonkwo? Kinetic or non-kinetic?
No, let's get it clear.
Okay.
I like to first clarify. We shouldn't be paying bandits, and I want to believe 99% of Nigerians will agree to that on the surface. Just like the US says they don't pay ransom for terrorists. Go on in these things, because at the end of the day, for the family concerned, what they want is for the person to come back
Safety
home.
first.
Any means is okay at that stage. That's by the way. The real issue here is that we're confounding and peace building without having to negotiate and pay with bandits. I always tell people that there's a layer of insecurity handling that we all fail in. That is prevention. The problem is the children of the farmers. The children of the farmers are not paid. So there's no money involved, right? All of a sudden, somebody comes to, and this is a bike for you. This guy has an Okada all of a sudden. An Okada is about 2-point-something million now. That boy that his father didn't give money, they only gave him 2 Shinkafa. Full operation for the bandits. Either they have been able to piece where there is gold or whatever. They now give him 10,000 naira. 10,000 naira is almost like 10 million.
You're like, wait a minute.
So we are talking of the farmer. The farmer is already a hard worker. He knows the value of money. I'm telling you of a 17-year-old boy. But we have people that don't speak English at all. Well informed, because all over the north, they listen to BBC Hausa. So they're more informed than you are in terms of what's educated. That is, they don't know the civic aspect of their consequences, but they have information. So the army has moved its base. That's information. They can now tell the bandits, the army, what we are doing now is giving some level of success. I measure my words. It is because we are getting informants locally. But there's a problem with that too. You see how that backfires, even though it sounds good initially, it's backfires. So we are in a very difficult dilemma. Nothing is as black and white as it sounds. That is why, as much as everybody agrees with the former executive governor El-Rufai, it is not as simplistic as it makes it look. We should not pay bandits. I mean, I don't want to support any government that pays bandits. But when it concerns your family, and it's 10 million naira that will bring back your brother, he has gone in, we have secured the bandits, but your brother is late. You will now say, we should have just paid. So it cannot work like that. It cannot work purely like that. It is good for government to say we don't pay bandits. But what I say is let us work on what makes people work for bandits. Let's clarify something as well. It's good to pose all this situation. When Boko Haram and ISWAP and Ansaru started operation in Nigeria, it was ideological, almost purely religious. They wanted to combat Western religion. They wanted to combat Western education. That has gone. Nobody is joining Ansaru for Islam. Most of them are not even Muslims. They are not practicing Muslims. That's what I mean. They joined because to have fun. So the first 1 week you are captured. These are information coming from IDP camps for as a captured victim.
It's even more fun than being
it's better
man.
than to be free in your village where there's no light, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no nothing. My brother, we have a bigger problem. You confront the Nigerian army. If you are lucky, you survive. If you are unlucky, you die. Gone. But if you survive, you have come back stronger. You are now a man. It is like you've been inserted into the, you get what I mean. They go in, pick up 5 cattle because they need to eat. Cattle here, as when we were growing up, sir, they only had dagger. They had dagger they used to carry here. At most. And you know why they daggers? And we all knew them because I went to a military school. We all knew them. They've now carried AK-47. You know what it means for a header to carry AK-47? That means he's trained at shooting it. It's not a cock and fire gun. It's not a cock and fire with gunpowder gun. I will say it like when we started the program. If we don't want to sit down to understand insecurity in Nigeria, we will be given the wrong medications. So what we should be doing in Nigeria is to remove the tooth that is causing the headache. As mentioned it in different ways. The north, the south, we all have social. And a few of them are complaining. At least one of them. Please, first find out solution for something that you don't know the origin. And that's the problem we have in the north as well. There are no more really arable lands in the north because of when you can get
when there's gold.
Yes. So my brother, insecurity is not going away tomorrow because if you and I find ourselves in a village now, Gosau, and some $1,000 that can be available, you guys just tell us where we should first start digging. $100,000 at the current rate is it not 150 million?
Yes.
I am sorry, we're all bandits too. At that price,
at that moment,
but how will you?
Everybody become bandit.
But
you first think before you check nationalism.
Yes. So how will you refuse that? It just secessionists. They are coming. Right now, as we speak, the main issue in Nigeria is economic, and I mean it in the sense not just the hardship we have, in the sense that there's no employment in a village. Has information of the amount of wealth we are enjoying. They see our Afrobeat stars living in Miami, going out with girls. And you are telling that young 17-year-old guy. Sunny Ade was like a god. We knew he was singing, and Benzo Obey, they were like gods. But we didn't know if they had girlfriends or not. It was not our problem. There were guys are doing. And you and I are staying in Lagos, telling that boy in Kafanchan, please stay in your forest. Be safe. You are a Nigerian. You are okay. How do you prove to him that he's a Nigerian? We have bigger problems. I told you there are 3 layers of insecurity. It's the people, the community itself that are suffering, and the reasons why they enter to help the bandits. If you don't solve that problem, we're in big shit. And there's no way doing for them, because that is how you build a nation. That is how you build people that are patriotic. It is how you handle the poorest in your society. This is how are we dealing with the poorest people in this country. It's the same thing like when you're in school. I don't give a damn about the boy that is having 9 A's. I want 60% of students to have 5 C's. Are you getting why they'll be patriotic? And so we've got it wrong with our structure and with our mentality.
Of the chain is the capacity of the weakest link.
Thank you. He put it so right.
Absolutely well put. But
yes.
So by the virtue of what we do, And I tell you for a fact that there's a big, I'm always asking, how would you want to have an operation tomorrow morning and tonight, and they'll come and attack your camp? Tried at different times to raise the issue of welfare.
Correct.
Oh, let them pay them, or let us do this, let us do that. I was watching Honorable Yusuf Gagdi, the member representing Pashikanke Kanam, the chairman House Committee on Navy.
Navy.
And then I remember I went to write NDA exam when I left. So I wanted to just move out of that space and be the hard guy. But what was driving people into joining the military those times is no longer what this country. These days is looking different. Have we lost that battle of instilling patriotism in our men that we are living to fight and protect the sovereignty of this country? 1, 2. What's that up?
Okay, let me even correct one notion. And it's good that you went for the ND exam. Several of my friends did as well, and I have military officers as well. What happened in a generation, I don't want to pinpoint exactly, but let's just say late 90s to very middle 2010s and something like that, was that a lot of people that they wanted to fight. These were people because it was noble. The uniform was very bright. It was shiny. And so everybody called every senator, and every senator, no soldier currently that you can compare to what them Dinka were doing. These guys were bloody. They were ready to attract a certain category of people who don't have in them imbibed the military spirit. You end with that question. But your actual question was that how do we close the gap between the it's not something you can do overnight. The gaps were not created overnight as well. Haven't you seen what is going on? How a certain part of Lagos is developing massively. Expensive, the lands are expensive.
Thank you. You look at Magodo, you look at Shangisha, and you're asking,
fantastic. You've even brought out the example that is even better than the one I had in my mind. What I'm trying to tell you is that we're doing it at every level. I keep advising people, the kind of discrimination we are practicing now, you cannot stop it. The perfect human being and you will not find. That's how the Nazis started. They first started driving the Jews, then they started driving the Germans who are a little bit disabled, then they started driving the Germans who are a little bit of Rome, they are Rome. Then they started saying, if you're a German and you don't have blue eyes, hit earlier. You measure a country's development by how we treat the most. They are well made, they are okay. They have dying lower middle class and the poor in Nigeria. Why are you going to convince somebody not to work against the security situation if he's being paid for it? Do you know the amount of Yahoo boys in Nigeria? I mentioned them. They arrested not long ago a 9-year-old boy. No, I didn't say 19, no, so that you don't get me wrong. Do you know what he does? He's a pista, what we call a pista. That means he's the real I say, oh, my ball fell there. But he has given them information. There are 3 customs officers, there are 2 civil defense. The guy, I'm saying, is a 9-year-old boy, and he's getting like 5,000 naira, which is a lot. What kind of gala does he want to chop? That he so the combat, the real difficulties, that's actually. But the conflict, nothing has changed. So if we don't follow up, we just had complaints this morning I received from various locations. We can't mention them because they are being pursued. They were the ones that allowed some of the officers to put soldiers have come back to revenge. They said, you people in this village must have given them information. I don't want to mention village because they will still revenge again on the revenge. I don't know how to explain. But so we are being careful. Look, it's not an easy thing. I'm not envious of anybody in as we do. They come back to the village to revenge. The army has left. The army does not create a barrack in every village. It's impossible. No police anymore. No local government. No, these are villages anyway. But when the bandits come back,
Mr. Alex, you will still talk about intelligence gathering and session that little is just dropping for us. I know that Mr. Alex is trying to be extremely careful not to say too much, but we're picking these things, and which is social justice. We have the best of laws in the country. You can't deny that fact. Somebody said when it comes to writing policy formation, Nigerians are the best globally. But it's this system in this country. So I'm coming. Somebody who steal 80 billion as a politician. I mean, look at when Pastor Cᴏɪᴜᴏᴜᴜᴜ of Taraba State was released. The people, they did actually to go and welcome him. Someone that stole ecological funds that could have made your state good. Because it's important that we brought this nexus together. We're talking about insecurity in every space. He made mention of a 9-year-old boy in the village that I've never seen the luxury of life before. Then he's seen a phone that an equal 9-year-old boy is somewhere. He's snapping a picture in a Lexus car. Respect in our laws in this country. And how can we make it better? Somebody says that justice is now...
The social injustice is giving massive impetus. In the past, we say that judiciary, the courts, are the hope of the common man. The court will come to his aid. But today, becomes so expensive, tax, if you do, in terms of saying that if you don't, then you will be thrown under the bus. By that same law that you expect to protect, it leads to massive injustice. And that is why the little who is toddling around and trying to make ends meet has not been his mate. Age-wise, these days in Nigeria, you don't categorize the society by the class.
Extreme classism.
Extreme class. Is either, and it has become so terrible, the gulf between the rich and the poor. The gap between the rich and the poor will be trampled upon by the rich. The rich will mess up the poor, and that is where people now resort to self-help. In a bid to help himself, he creates an insecure environment. Are people who have lost hope and confidence in the system. Michael Zekovias, he said, look, that the boys who kidnapped him, when they eventually knew who he was, they sent him a message. They said, go and tell the country that they are not treating us well. That you are a victim of what the society, for the betterment of the society, to pick you. Mike said these were graduates' activities. And Mike shouted, so nobody was free. So what does that tell you? It tells you that that the society will fail the children tomorrow, because they will operate in the same environment. Okay, you're a senator, top-notch universities around the world. Would they come to Nigeria? Would they? Would they visit? If they visit, would they move around freely? Will they come and end up at the airport and go back? So what kind of society are we building that will make no meaning to the generations coming after you? Until we begin to build a better Nigeria, it is not difficult to build. I love what I heard of cyclone. Have I heard of it? The sun is out there shining, and we are here messing up. This is an arable land with huge water resources and aquatic resources. What do we have any business with poverty here? No business. And that is why zones, every zone has all it takes to become not only self-sufficient, to become very progressive, very developed, and challenge any other nation of the world. In each zone, we have population land. How many people are there in Germany? In Sweden. We're not talking in this direction. Why would the gold and the sovereignty of the states? Meanwhile, it's because the Minerals Act has put everything in the hands of federal government. So if they are stealing it, they feel they are not stealing. They just feel they are stealing federal government property. They are not stealing their own properties. But if we had the ability to do this,
because that's what you need.
They will not allow anybody to see the solid minerals. They will not. The man in Niger Delta will not allow anybody to see his crude, because that is what he needs. He will not. Today, the coal in Enugu is wasting, whereas coal can be used to generate huge quantum of electricity all over the world. Coal contributes to half of the electricity provision of South Africa, even as we speak today. Now, the arable land all over the place, who is cultivating them? I once traveled with a Mexican national. In those, missed our flight, and we had to go by road because the artificial semen he came with, or the semen
Here we go.
The man touched me and said, your country, if you change the Shagamu and Benin Express, the man on the right is
all green.
It's all green. Big, beautiful trees. He said, he asked me again, you mean you don't fertilize them? I said, nobody. We don't even, we have not even entered this place at all. That some people have not even entered this place. In Israel, they are planting on the rooftop of some buildings gardens to feed the people. He said, if I was ashamed of my country in the 90s, today, remember that then there was no insecurity. You cannot even go there anymore. Olufola lamented and ran away from his farm. They wanted to keep around him all manner of security.
Still talking
about it. Well, that tells you what the average farmer continues to see and meet on a daily basis.
You're live from Milan 98.3 FM, and we have a special commercial operation, and we felt like let us have a roundtable discussion, void of any sentiment whatsoever, void of any bias whatsoever. And I have two gentlemen in the studio with me that understand the basic of what we're discussing today on the show. Well, we're looking at confronting insecurity in Nigeria, pathways to peace and progress. And both guests had agreed that the middle class is almost non-existent. Cᴏɪᴜ Ndzako is a lawyer, like you've been following. He's also an economist. And the sweetest part of it is that he's an administrator. I don't know how he does that combination, though. But it's a bit unique conversation. We're streaming live on all our social media platforms. I'm not sure. We can search for Mainland 98.3 FM and watch us live and drop your comments. We'll open the phone lines. I know a lot of you wants to also have a say in this conversation. We'll open the phone lines very soon. Mr. Alex, let's try to start closing up this conversation little by little. The place of intelligence gathering, office of the NSA, is almost times 4 of Ministry of Education or so many other ministries.
Right.
The intelligence agencies everywhere, their own safety. So somebody is patriotic enough to smell danger, and then he calls the security agents, oh, I'm suspecting some strange movement, and I think this person, and they pick the person up. And then maybe they now release the person and now say, that house, that's where they reported you. Are we not getting the right information, or we're getting it and we're not, Mr. Alex?
No, to be frankly honest, in the recent, a bit of disorganization in how the information was received, digested, and shared. All this have to happen in good time. And of course, the NSA, Malam yes, was that there will always be deaths. I told you earlier, we're not solving the security problem tomorrow morning. It's just like the headsmen. You're not stopping headsmen. You still see them in Lagos now. So those are headsmen too now. We're not stopping overnight. Forget about the overnight solution. All that it is being digested with. Actually, have a very good investigative police, and they are not so well equipped. They are not so numerous. I mean, they don't have. They go in. They actually. We have investigators on ground. Did in Abuja, which is formed in Abuja. There's a bit of synergy. They swap exactly. They die with the information, and the second person is even happy that his guy is killed, and then looks for bandits he can solve. More organized. I dare say almost as equally as the soldier that has been fighting them for fighting. The guy can run in the forest with barefoot. Go through. You're a few years behind in terms of forensic warfare. So every soldier in Nigeria, on him, delicate. What I am make sure there's an economic progress as well. There are some consequences. That's the explication. So it is true. But I tell you for free, the Northerners are suffering more. The economic is added on whatever you are buying in Lagos. The transport is added to get it to Kano. You get what? So when there is a problem in Nigeria, even politically, even the APC members have problems. It's even making us lose our cultural thought. Tell people that are suffering more. Nigerians don't understand. They pay petrol 400 naira more because you must add the. Guys, let us understand what we're talking about. The issues are far beyond sending one. The commander's duty is to. Yes, because tomorrow there's another fight now. That's the problem. So I will tell you where meant our V20 armor tanks. They are using AI to. What we're using AI to do is actually know the movement and calibrate the. In terms of you're talking of intelligence now. All that information is being digested because information means nothing if you don't have people capable of digesting, trained in parts of Nasarawa. As we speak, I'm talking of right to go because what we were not doing before, we were not as mobile as the bandits. So under the Buhari regime, he had a bigger problem because there were big camps of terrorists, if you remember. So we got the Tucano jets and we bombarded them. But they've left. They've now formed their small groups, trained almost Israeli-type soldiers to go in and capture bandits or kill them, whichever one you choose. But that's a small team. So you need 40 men, 60 men on bikes, on MVs to move into forests where you and I don't want to go, where there are snakes, where there are all kinds of animals. And then I must capture some people so that they will tell you, who's your commander? Where are you getting arms from Niger Republic? Who is paying you? So we're also using AI to trace the money. That's a good. I'm telling you, the army is not big enough. We barely have 250,000 soldiers, effective army. We have 250 soldiers. Don't forget, there is the medical corps, there is the SN question you asked. That there are a lot of positives in terms of information gathering and information share and now, solutions. So there is various things in Abuja. And the NSA is doing a good job at that. I must give it to him.
Okay.
But we are not at El Dorado yet,
Okay.
if that's what you want to.
Is a stain on the judicial system on its own. So people start to question it. I've seen justice as an item excluded. How urgent do you think we need to come up with reforms in our judicial? In all of this, we don't know all of this. The story is different. You've seen cases where they say, oh, these bandits are just there, we de-radicalize them. Radicalization. Then how do you de-radicalize such? Pastor Fred, what more is very clear for everyone else to see? Let's start wrapping.
We need to influence of the executive. Sometimes is blood. Blood in the sense that the executive, because the executive dispenses some hold on the judicial system. And it starts from political decisions and snowballs into every independence is not only on appointment of the judicial officers. And you are selected to sit on an election petition tribunal. Come back fully loaded and you're living large. Sending your children to and the salary is a pittance. By the time you look at its capacity, it's for me to ask you, oh boy,
How far?
Boy, how far? I'll see what I can do for you.
And this person is on the same level with you.
That is it. That is it. A situation where monkey they walk, baboon they chop can never lead to judicial justice. Can never lead to social justice, I mean. Never. If monkey walks, let monkey chop. If baboon walks, let baboon chop.
If monkey no walk,
If monkey no walk, make it no chop. That is the difference. The reward and punishment system of Nigeria is terrible. Very badly skewed and does not deliver on the expectations of the people. When we talk about the challenges in our social system, it is partly because the reward and punishment system does not work well. People are not adequately sanctioned for doing what is wrong. And people are not adequately rewarded for doing what is right.
Yes, correct.
That and the common man. The problem of the court system is not only lying on the table of the men or women on the bench. Those they are ancillary staff. They call themselves Jusun. They are terrible people. Extremely terrible people.
That's the Judicial Staff
Union of Nigeria. They cause major problem we have in the system. Difficult to manage, easily corruptible. Some lawyers themselves, who call themselves senior lawyers, are not also helping the system. It does not. Look, somebody said that a litigant does not find it easy to corrupt a judge. He does so through lawyers. And when we go for MBA conference, we went for an MBA conference sometime in Port Harcourt, and I stood up to challenge my colleagues. And I said, look, if Nigeria is going to be good, MBA must lead the way to save this country.
As lawyers?
As lawyers. We have done that in the past. We can repeat it. Lawyers cannot exonerate themselves. You first become a lawyer
Before you become a judge.
If the judge is corrupt, it means that there are lawyers who help him to be corrupt. If the system is corrupt, there are people who help the system to be corrupt. And again, who themselves live large in the midst of plenty, even basic essentials of life. They create this type of rat race. Everybody, pyramid, they will trample upon you. So do everything you have to do to come to the top, by crook or by hook. But a society that is system will come to your aid and your protection. That way, you will think more of what you are giving the society than what you expect to get out of the society. We say, oh, think more of what you give to your country than what the country will give. People in Nigeria are Nigerians. We have over 220 million people, but we have very few Nigerians. And who do I call a Nigerian? Because of the structure of the country. It is, when they say national cake, you see, whoever that brought that terminology, national cake, I tell you, has pictured Nigeria in the most appropriate light. National cake. Who bakes it and who baked the one that we are eating? Whether the cake diminishes or not,
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares about the baking. And until we begin to care about the baking, then we now know that when you cut out that chunk, you remember that you have brothers and sisters who also want to eat from the chunk that you have cut.
Come on, you are that level.
We need to, as a nation, begin to realize that social injustice is a very fertile ground for insecurity.
Correct. Thank you, sir.
Conversation, and it's even more interesting to me that as we are discussing it, we're bringing a workable solution. I think that's the beauty of the session we're having today. But if you're joining us, I must admit that you've missed a lot, but you can always go back to our social. Closing the gap, especially on the issue of insecurity and social justice. Mr. Alex, a security expert and analyst. Barrister Cᴏɪᴜ of course. You have to be a lawyer to be a barrister. The same way you have to be a lawyer to be a judge. So you can join the conversation 0913600. Okay. We have enough calls to 0. You're live on Milan 98.3 FM, special edition of the show today because we're celebrating our 4th year, anniversary. And then we feel like it makes a lot of sense to give you something to discuss on the basis of the situation that the country does not have to do with just the guns and the battle alone. If you don't equip the people economically, if you don't give them the economic back, a lot of other calls. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Mainland FM. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. I'm sure this person will call back. We have loads of messages as well. This one says, good afternoon to Mainland FM. I'll listen to conversation like this. Please, how can we get... Hello, good afternoon.
This was calling from Nīḷᴇ.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, you're welcome.
This is Musa calling from Nīḷᴇ. Your two guests in the studio have spoken well. The notion of a team will not lead us to this situation we find ourselves. Like the man on security expert, he has said it all. So what we are praying for the nation, that a day will come, all these things will end, to give them more strength in life, at least to combat the situation.
Thank you very
So
much.
I wish you happy anniversary.
Thank you. This one says, hi, good evening to you and your guest. Do you know that Lagos State won than Rwanda as a country? But Rwanda is more developed, clean, and the fastest growing economy on the continent. It's 15 million, and Lagos is between 26 to 30 million people. Lagos Bento from Lagos here. In 3600-041. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Your name and where you joining us from?
Yeah, Mr. Okwedi Samuel from Teja.
Mr. Samuel.
Listening to you, right, since from Radio Continental, then your voice this afternoon and your position on the situation of things. Okwe, we are talking about Nigeria as a country. We know as a country, that even primary school they used to do. Mr. Fred talk about the country of insecurity. Nigeria, as I tell me that Nigerian government is not just for them to continue the carrot and stick approach. In another, we talk who is deceiving who. I always ask this question: who is deceiving who in this country? It's a pity. It's a pity. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Femi from Aʟᴇx for your 4th celebration, and more importantly, with the quality of guests that you used to bring. Thank you very much for informing and entertaining Nigerians at the same time. Until the government shows more commitment and sincerity in fighting insecurity, and who in Ikorodu don't feel safe, then it's a waste of energy. God bless your station. Thank you, Okoyemi, and thank you very much. Congratulations once again to Milan FM. Thank you. More calls. Hello, good afternoon. From Ikeja, you have the floor.
Yes, my greeting to your guest here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah. Good afternoon.
Nigeria, to me, looks like a company to a particular individual, either from within Africa or outside Africa, that they can control, whereby they have everything in place. But to surprise, anywhere you see mineral resources in Nigeria becomes, you see that it will be a war zone to get people away. Or straight and trusted, so that if you want to elect anybody into office, it should be the people electing, not somebody going.
Good point.
Thank
It's a
you.
good point.
Yes,
It's a good point.
our president always traveling to France. Nobody knows the instructions he goes there to take.
And, I just want to try and aggregate some of the calls so that I will try to wrap it up real quick. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to me. Please help me move away from your radio set, or you turn it off completely.
Is it okay now?
Okay, let's go on. Your name and where you're calling from?
Security personnel. That is it's just that most people don't know the workings of government budget. But I want to tell you something. And with due respect to the barrister there, with due respect to him, destroy this country. The chief justices are not the one that destroyed this country. A situation with what he wants to do. In China, gold-plated wristwatch. And when you know that it was a gift, but there is a corruption that's not supposed to be, this is on a government trip.
Correct.
Then he was sentenced to 7 years in prison. So where you are providing freedom. So you win elections, somebody will come and give you 400 million, you take it, and then the other will agree to me. You agree with me, my brother to the left. You agree with me. For me, it's the judiciary that destroys the country.
Thank you very much. Okay, your guests have really done well, but we have a common accident, and we've all said this corruption, yet the government is not ready to prove anyone wrong. Which way, Nigeria? Happy 4th year anniversary. Hello, good afternoon.
Right.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay, please, your name and where you calling from?
This is Triple A from Ojo.
Okay, please go on. Be fast.
See what the LCM of what is going on in this country, and by the time we drop this, all this thing we are talking about will be forgone.
Oh. Unfortunately, the network didn't help the matters. So let's talk to Alhaji Subara. We're pressed for time. We need to go. Hello, good afternoon.
Thank more prosperity, more stability. You see, the point is this, about Nigeria. We need to understand. Me, I don't deceive myself. No sense. The matter truth is, our leader has started destroying this. Our leader. I want Nigeria to understand that they start killing Nigeria. This resuscitation is not miraculous. It is not overnight. We need to understand something that has been destroyed. That is, nobody that will get to that position, you understand, unless we are not telling ourselves the truth, that will do any magic. That is fundamental. If we are carrying arms and somebody comes to me, I will destroy the person. That is fundamental truth. It is the responsibility of they give them anything. It's not. In fact, it's not welcome.
Thank you.
It's not.
Thank you very much. Let's. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gokwe.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Lawrence. I'm calling from
30 seconds.
Thank you very much. I just want to congratulate Milan FM. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Straight to the point. Let's start wrap it up, because we're not time to take stock, to sit back and have a moment of sober reflections as a nation in the last 65 years. Does it exactly show you're coming out of the mall, people are rushing you to beg for money? It's a process where Nigerians are looking tired and helpless. How quick do we think we need to have things back in order? Let's wrap it up from here.
Yes, 65 years can be said to be very short. Would have retired. All right, that means you have put in your best years. But as a nation, it is said to be are being churned out. We cannot of the world. So, and there is assimilation of not only culture but also assimilation of technology, of the huge resources that we have squandered in this country. Squandered is the word, because if we had utilized the honest truth, Nigeria is not like, and if we don't tell ourselves the truth, we cannot solve our problems. And that, where does that draw? Of nationhood. So we'll be able to know where followers. If we fail to do so, then the patriotism that we are all.
Amazing way to end that conversation. And let me come to you, Mr. Alex. Socially, everything will fall into my legitimate business, trying to put food on my table. Mr. Alex, change overnight. It's not going to change overnight. 16 years with cleansing. There's just been a whole lot of mess that we're dealing with right now. How much time do you think Nigerians have to get things
right in Nigeria? So we cannot keep doing the same things and expect a different result. So I would say, to all the things the government is doing already, we must add to be beside barrister, because I've heard him say patriotism 3 times. This is a word I've not been hearing for years. Under the military regime, if you remember, we're hearing patriotic Nigeria. Yours. We must find it within ourselves. I like to always end on a positive note. The solutions ask us about our specificities. The people in the southeast know something you don't know. The people in the south know something you don't know. There's people in Sokoto that have information about what will solve the problem in Sokoto. Bring everybody together. Let us sit down and talk about it. The problem in Plateau State is an issue of land.
Exactly.
The main problem in Kaduna, we said it earlier, Kaduna's issue started over 40 years ago. People think it started last year. The Kaduna South and Kaduna North issue, and that's why there's a bit of peace. He has gone into negotiations with the factions that are fighting. I will tell you for free, there are villages in this country that were calling on mercenaries to. You capture somebody, and the person says, "Are you from here?" He said, "No." Where are you from? He said, "We were paid to come and fight." So, my brother, let me tell you something. Once we are ready, and is not the cause of all the problems, but he's one of our most educated, most enlightened presidents in history. He has been in power all through. So it's his story. The only thing he has to do is call on every part of this country, every type of person, and say, let's find solutions. There's no way only the people he knows will know. Ask them questions. Pick the best solutions they've given you, and you will see it will work. By the way, one of the callers also said people are influencing Nigeria from outside. Yes, of course. After resources, why will you go and fight Mali? There's nothing in Mali. There's the mountains and not this desert. So it is normal that everybody wants to have a piece of.
Can Nigeria work?
Sure, Nigeria can work. Nigeria can work. The only country that cannot.
No, I'm a dead hard optimistic. Nigeria will work, and every we are. If you are knowledgeable of history in Nigeria, it's not very far from this. Where you first ask where the person is from before you ask what he has done. What is my business with where are you from? If you're a criminal, you're a criminal. I don't know into one salvation this and I say, so you're a Christian. We didn't ask each other. Did you ask any of your friends? So we should go back to those days where, honestly, I didn't know. I was a kid. I didn't know they were Muslims. I didn't see the difference. We played ball and security. So we should solve those problems first before we solve insecurity. When you go to any army barracks, there are soldiers from when we're in Nigeria, and it boils down to the man at Aso Rock. He has to.
Thank you very much. First mosque in Ondo State.
Wow. We
were roommates in our final year. We were sleeping on the same. Go to his house for Salah, and it's always an amazing time.
Fantastic.
I think really quality time with us on the show today. This is the first time you're coming into the studio. Yeah. And when he came in, he felt super impressed with the beautiful studio that Mainland FM. He said, "This place is looking good."
I want to thank you. I'm impressed by your approach, your knowledge, your presentation, and everything about you and Mainland FM.
Thank you.
And I'm specific in Mainland FM.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Alex Okonkwo, you hold a very key specs in pouring in your wealth of experience and giving us a lot of things to be positive about. A little bit
more political, I guess.
Showore will join us by 4, and then Mr. Miwadiem is going to be our live studio guest. He's the immediate past head of political desk of Guardian newspaper. Wow. He's going to be joining us anytime to be here. You drove yourself here all the way. Mr. Alex in Nigeria, pathways to peace and progress. But we've also streamlined it to insecurity and social justice. And I'm glad we're able to, break those things down. My name is Cᴏɪᴏᴜ Iᴏᴜᴜ. I'll be back by 4, but please, I will be excused for sports cruise today by 6 o'clock. So my day ends at 5:30. Thank you so much, everyone. The guys behind the